Long ago, in the time of legends, before the ages of men were fully counted, before the light of the elves dimmed, there was an island, a gift from the divine, born of a great victory over darkness. To some, it was paradise. To others, a prison. This is the story of Numenor, the star-shaped jewel of the sea, and the mightiest kingdom of men ever known. It rose in glory and fell in fire. In the wake of Morgoth's defeat, the Valar rewarded the Edain, noblemen who had stood with the elves, with a land of peace. From the ocean, they raised Numina, a fertile island far from the shadows of war. It was a bridge between worlds, a haven of unmatched beauty and grace. Among the Edain rose Elros, son of Eärendil and brother to Elrond. Though half-elven, he chose the fate of men and became Numenor's first king. For over 4 centuries, he ruled with wisdom, guiding his people to prosperity. Under his reign, knowledge bloomed, ships multiplied, and peace was made enduring. Elros ruled from Ar-Menelaos, the shining heart of Numenor. Beneath the sacred mountain Meneltarma, he built a realm of learning and order. His people lived long and well, planting orchards that never withered and raising towers that gleamed with morning light. It was an age of harmony and abundance. On the summit of Meneltarma, the kings offered no idols, only silence. 3 times each year, the monarch climbed alone to pray beneath open sky. The mountain stood as a reminder of humility and the bond between men and the higher powers that shaped the world. The Númenorians became seafarers not by conquest, but by curiosity. Their ships glided on winds of knowledge and light. They mapped strange shores, taught healing to distant peoples, and brought peace where there had been chaos. In many lands, they were hailed as wonders, noble, wise, and just. But the most precious gift of all was time. The lives of the Númenorians were thrice that of ordinary men. They lived long, strong, and clear of mind. Yet with time came awareness that even long lives end, and the seed of fear was sown. At first, kings passed with dignity, like Elros, who laid down life at his peak. But later, rulers clung to life, building tombs that dwarfed their palaces and fearing death as an enemy. What was once a gift began to feel like a curse, and pride crept in, unnoticed. A division took root. The faithful honoured the Valar and kept counsel with the elves, but the king's men grew defiant, questioning the ban of the West. They whispered that death was a punishment, and the divine had stolen immortality from mankind. The kings grew bitter. They banned the elvish tongue, turned away the ships of the West, and withdrew the sacred tree from public sight. In its place, they planted monuments to mortal glory. The golden age dimmed, and shadows gathered within palace walls. Beyond Numenor, Sauron rose again. Though defeated by Númenorian arms, he was brought in chains to the island. They thought him broken, a symbol of their triumph. But pride had already opened the door, and evil entered smiling. Sauron became counselor to the king. He spoke not of repentance, but of power. He whispered that death could be conquered, that the Valar lied, and that paradise could be taken by force. The king listened, and the people followed. Dark temples rose, first in secret, then in full. Altars burned not for life, but for death. Smoke thickened over Numenor's cities, and the cries of sacrifice echoed down streets once filled with song. The island grew heavy with dread. The king took the name Ar-Pharazon the Golden. His armour shone with pride, his fleets with ambition. The old gods were cast aside. The harbours churned with black-sailed ships, and Numenor bent itself toward conquest, not of men, but of fate itself. The faithful suffered. They were silenced, hunted, and exiled. Amandil, once a lord, fled west to seek the Valar's mercy. His son Elendil stayed behind, preparing in secret. He knew that storms were coming, and not all would survive them. Sauron's final lie was the boldest. that the undying lands held the secret to immortality, that men need only reach out and take it. Ar-Pharazon believed, and from his shipyards rose the greatest armada the world had ever seen. The people cheered, black banners flew, and the fleet, vast beyond imagining, filled the sea. Its destination was no kingdom of men, but the land of the gods. Hubris had become law, and silence fell across the heavens. The fleet sailed west, crossing into forbidden waters. Days passed in darkness. Then, at last, on the horizon, the shores of the blessed realm. As they neared, the air grew still, and time itself seemed to halt. The Valar did not defend. They relinquished authority and called upon Eru, the One. The world changed. A rift tore through sea and sky. The armada sank into a yawning abyss, and the shape of the earth was remade. Numenor cracked. Fires consumed its cities. The mountains split. Waves taller than towers devoured the coasts. Screams vanished beneath thunder and water. In moments, the island was gone, swallowed by the sea that once gave it life. The king's palace crumbled. The white tree burned. And at the highest tower, Sauron stood unmoved until the waves reached even him. But his spirit was not bound by flesh, and evil remembers its shape even when drowned. Sauron's body died, but his will endured. He fled, formless, eastward, a shadow without name. Though shattered, he would return, subtler and more cruel. Numenor had not destroyed him. It had freed him from his mask. Yet not all was lost. Elendil and the faithful escaped, 9 ships sailing by starlight, carrying relics, knowledge, and the last breath of Numenor's wisdom. Behind them, the sea closed forever. They came ashore in distant lands and built anew. From them rose the kingdoms of Arnor and Gondor. Their towers were smaller, their time shorter, but their hearts remembered, and the white tree bloomed once more. Elendil ruled with quiet strength. His sons, Isildur and Anarion, shaped the new realms. Though they were far from the star-shaped isle, its memory lived on, in their speech, their laws, their dreams. Some say the ruins of Numenor still lie beneath the waves, that on moonless nights lights flicker below the deep, that the drowned towers still hold their breath, and that the sea remembers everything. Numenor was not conquered. It fell by its own hand. Pride, fear, and defiance brought ruin to the greatest of men, not with swords, but with the hunger to become gods. But from ruin came wisdom. The tale of Numenor was carried east, told in whispers, etched into stone, sung by fireside. A warning, not of war, but of forgetting who we are. In later ages, the legacy of Numenor endured, in the halls of Gondor, in the bravery of its kings, and in the stars that once guided its ships. Its shadow was long, but so was its light. So ends the tale of Numenor, a land of wonder, torn apart by ambition. Let its memory be a mirror, that greatness is not in might, but in wisdom, and even the brightest star may fall if it burns too proud.